Yo, I'm Troy, this is TM Fitness, busting fitness myths. Boom! Okay, so before I get into this, these are all the kind of myths that you're going to see in the mainstream media on a regular basis. You'll see them misquoted in articles, that people will talk about this sort of stuff in the gym. A lot of this is the kind of stuff that gets spoken about so much that it just becomes accepted and nobody questions it any longer. So before I get into it, just want to say, I'm busting all of these myths based on scientific evidence. I'm not going to put all the quotations and all the references on here, all the citations. Read the ISSN guidelines, read the ISSN positional stands. Look for research by respected industry leaders like Brad Schoenfeld and James Krieger. Look up the research reviews by Examine ERD, Weightology, Mass, those kind of things. So all the clever people that have done all the research have done it for you, and if you follow their recommendations based on their non-biased reviews of the scientific literature, then you can see why these myths need to be blown out of the water. Okay, enough waffling, let's get into it. Number one, carbs are fattening. So a lot of people think that eating carbohydrates make you fat, and this comes from the now completely debunked insulin hypothesis. So when you eat carbohydrates, insulin goes up, but insulin is an important hormone, and every macronutrient causes insulin secretion. So when you eat carbohydrates, or any food for that matter, insulin goes up. When insulin goes up, your fat metabolism comes down. So it's often said that as insulin goes up, your fat metabolism comes down, you store those carbs as fat. That's not true, because as your fat metabolism comes down, your carbohydrate metabolism comes up. So you're not storing those carbs, you're oxidizing them, metabolizing them, and turning them into energy. You will only gain weight if you're in an energy surplus. I've covered this in previous videos, go and watch them, but it's calories in, calories out, 24-hour energy balance. If you're in an energy surplus, you will gain weight. If you're in an energy deficit or a calorie deficit, you will lose weight regardless of whether you're eating carbs or not. Boom. Number two, eating fat burns fat. So these two kind of often come in synergy with each other. So carbs bad, fat good. But the same with the carbohydrates here. If you're eating fat, your fat metabolism goes up and your carbohydrate metabolism comes down, but it actually switches off. If you're eating a high fat diet, you stop oxidizing carbohydrates entirely, which is pretty terrible for exercise performance. And fat oxidation is simply the metabolization of dietary fats for energy. So your body's just turning the fat that you've eaten into energy. That doesn't equal a reduction in body fat, unfortunately. So it doesn't matter if you're eating more carbs or more fats, as long as you're in an energy deficit, you're going to lose weight. Number three, cardio is best for fat loss. So this is for the cardio queens out there who think that they need to be doing hours and hours of sweaty cardio, back-to-back studio classes, spinning and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you can do that if you enjoy it, but it's no better for you. Resistance training is the best exercise to do if you're looking to lose weight, because when you're in an energy deficit, because we've already established that you need to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose weight. When you're in a calorie deficit, put my teeth back in. When you're in a calorie deficit, you don't just lose body fat, you lose lean mass as well. Your muscle mass will reduce. And you can ameliorate that or maintain that muscle mass by doing resistance training, and that won't happen if you're doing cardio. And more lean mass equals better metabolism, which is obviously going to be better for weight management. Number four, cardio makes you fat. See how contradictory some of these are. So one group with one bias will say cardio is best for fat loss, and then another group with a different bias will say cardio makes you fat, and they're both wrong. So again, calories in, calories out, 24-hour energy balance. That is the mechanism that you need to control in order to manage your weight. But cardio will help you to burn more calories. You will burn more calories in an hour of moderate, intense cardiovascular exercise than you will, by not doing it. But doing, say, an hour of moderate intensity cardiovascular exercise will burn an extra couple of hundred calories or so. So, you know, good, do it. Number 5, protein leaches calcium from your bones. There is no evidence to support that, full stop. I don't even need to expand on that from there. In fact, higher protein diets have been shown in recent evidence, and there's an avalanche of very convincing research coming out now that shows that higher protein diets are exponentially better for bone density and bone health, particularly in aging populations. So if you want to avoid osteoporosis, osteopenia and sarcopenia, eat more protein. It's not leaching calcium from your bones, it's stimulating muscle protein synthesis and other processes in the body that are going to help the calcification of your bones. Number 6, BCAAs are essential for exercise performance. BCAAs stands for branched chain amino acids. So it's leucine, isoleucine and valine. They're the 3 branched chain amino acids. But in a complete protein source, there would be 22 amino acids, not just 3. So you're going to get better effect from a whole protein source than you are from just supplementing with BCAAs. Yes, BCAAs do stimulate muscle protein synthesis, but not as effectively as, say, whey protein or a chicken breast. What's more important is that you're getting your total amount of protein throughout the day, ideally from food and from complete protein sources, not supplemental BCAAs. And as for the exercise performance things, so they've done studies where they've had people exercising. Some of them have been drinking water, some of them have been drinking BCAAs. BCAAs obviously contain calories, so that's calories versus no calories. Of course, the BCAAs are going to improve your exercise performance. If you were to compare BCAAs versus a glucose supplement, because glucose is a more important nutrient for your muscles and energy production within your muscles while you're exercising, you would see that BCAAs are not as effective. Stop wasting your money on BCAAs. Eat whole proteins and have a glucose or carbohydrate supplement in your workouts if you're training for longer than an hour. Number 7, you need whey protein to build mass. Now it's easy to see where this one comes from. Somebody wants to build muscle. They go to the gym, they start lifting weights, and then they start necking a protein shake after every workout, and they gain some muscle. Boom, must be the whey protein, right? No. Well, yes and no. In order to build muscle, you need to be in an energy surplus, so more calories coming in than you're burning off. You need to be eating a meaningful amount of protein throughout the day, and you need to be doing resistance training with progressive overload. And then you just need to be consistent with it. And importantly, you need to be patient, because building muscle isn't easy and it takes a long time, and it takes a lot longer than you realise, which is why everyone isn't walking around jacked all the time. There is a time and a place for protein shakes if you like using them or if it's for convenience, but you don't have to use them to build muscle. You need to be consistent with your calories, your nutrition and your training. Number 8, resistance training makes you bulky. So this is usually women that say this. So they're afraid of getting big and bulky if they lift weights. Lifting weights doesn't make you bulky. Being fat makes you bulky. As I've just established, building muscle doesn't come easy. It takes effort, it takes time. So you're not going to pick up some weights and instantly turn into Arnold Schwarzenegger. But as I've also said, lifting weights while dieting down in an energy deficit is important to maintain lean mass, so you should do it while you're dieting. If you have never lifted weights before, in the first couple of months, you may gain a little bit of muscle even if you're dieting down. But it will be a little bit, and if you're overweight, you won't see it anyway because you're covered in fat, unfortunately. So no, resistance training doesn't make you bulky. Resistance training is good. It makes you stronger and it makes you metabolically healthier. Number 9, HIIT training burns more fat. I wish this one would go away. I really do. HIIT training equals high intensity interval training. It's an anaerobic exercise. This means that there's no oxygen, and without oxygen, you're not going to be oxidizing fat. You're going to be using your carbohydrate energy pathways, which means you're burning glycogen, not fat, or oxidizing glycogen, not oxidizing fat. And as I've already established, oxidizing fat doesn't equal reductions in body fat anyway. So it's a carbohydrate burning exercise or a sugar burning exercise, not a fat burning exercise. The EPOC, which is the post-exercise energy consumption or afterburn effect, is massively overstated as well. You actually would only burn about 15% of the calories extra of the calories that you burn in that session. So in a 20-minute HIIT session, you burn 150 calories. With EPOC, that's about an extra 30 calories. That's it. That's all it is. You're not burning thousands of calories for the next 24 hours, as some gurus would have you believe. And the fact of the matter is, if you're not working at least 90% of your VO2 max and close to vomiting with these workouts, you're not doing true HIIT training, so you're not going to get that EPOC effect anyway. Don't get me wrong, HIIT training's fun. If you like doing it, do some of it, but it's not the be all and end all. Number 10, more is better. This is more of an attitude than it is kind of a guideline. But some people develop this attitude that they need to be doing more exercise to the point where they get guilty if they're not exercising. Recovery is a really important part of exercise. If you want to get fitness gains, if you want to get stronger, fitter, faster, whatever, you need to be recovering between your workouts. That's when all the adaptations happen. That's when you lower your allostatic load and all the stress in your body reduces down, your hormones balance out, you're sleeping, your muscles are building and repairing themselves. If you're not recovering between workouts, you're not getting any benefit from the workouts and you're just going to burn yourself out. Overtraining syndrome is a very real thing. It can be quite a severe metabolic illness. It's not a permanent thing. It just, you make yourself very ill and burnt out from overtraining and under recovering. But most recreational athletes will not get anywhere near overtraining. They'll just be under recovered because they're not eating enough, they're not sleeping enough. I see this a lot with female athletes, particularly in CrossFit and bodybuilding. Bodybuilding because they're dieting down to very unhealthy levels of leanness and it messes up their endocrine system. And CrossFit because they're just doing too much training, there's too much allostatic load, too much stress on the body, and it affects hormones in a really bad way. And then you get the female athlete triad. Look up female athlete triad, ACSM, just Google that. The female athlete triad is a form of overtraining syndrome which results in amenorrhea when the menstrual cycle shuts off because you're doing so much stress and damage to your body that it just can't keep up. So more isn't always better. If you're an elite level athlete, a controlled amount of more is obviously necessary. You need that progressive overload, you need more volume and more intensity, but it needs to be controlled. But if you're not recovering, if you're not giving yourself days off and rest days, you're not getting a good night's sleep and you're not eating enough calories and you're not eating enough carbs, you're going to mess yourself up. So stop doing that. So that's the 10. Let me just finish off by saying one little thing here because nobody ever talks about this in the fitness world. Maintenance is lit. Maintenance is the most underrated goal you can have and nobody ever aims at maintenance. Everyone's always bulking or cutting, dieting down. Nobody ever aims for maintenance. Maintenance is awesome because you get to eat more food. You get to smash the arse off your workouts and really enjoy them and just be epic at life because you're not depleting yourself and not restricting yourself. So try that for a while. Just aim for maintenance and feel good. If you've got any questions about any of those 10 myths that I've just busted, put them in the box, give me a like, give me a share and tell all your mates and I'll catch you later.